Our I team has discovered a Farmington police officer's goal to fully return to the force may be in jeopardy.
Officer James O'Donnell was hurt when a suspect crushed him with a car last fall, and he has been making tremendous strides in his recovery.
However, Chief Investigative Reporter Matthew Campbell sat down to talk with him and found out he is not guaranteed to go back to work. It's a story you won't see anywhere else. Matthew?
Yeah, Mark and Aaron, Officer O'Donnell's pelvis was crushed in this incident, and there was a big fear that walking would be an issue going forward. So it is remarkable to know that the pelvis, the legs, they're all fine. It's an issue with his foot that's been the only thing that's keeping him from returning to the force.
On September 20th, 2021, Farmington police officer James O'Donnell was struck and pinned against his cruiser. The suspect behind the wheel of the car was wanted for stealing catalytic converters. We were the first station to give you a glimpse at his recovery when we spoke to him in November.
I attempted to move myself around, tried to move my legs, and I tried to crawl, and I couldn't.
Since we last spoke, Officer O'Donnell went through 4 hours of grueling physical therapy 3 days a week at Gaylord Hospital in Wallingford.
It was kind of worse than the academy in some part.
That hard work paid off because O'Donnell's recovery has been fast.
When you hear calls go out, you have to fight the urge because you can't do anything.
The goal was to go back to full duty by the end of March, but that didn't happen. His right foot hasn't healed as quickly.
She says that it's most likely that I have turf toe. Either I leave it as is or I have surgery.
He couldn't leave it as is for 2 reasons. He wants to get back to work, and he wants to be there for his kids.
I wouldn't be able to run, sprint, put any weight through my foot.
Officer O'Donnell got the surgery this week and is now in this boot with the hope that he'll be back on the Farmington force.
The specialist says she thinks about 3 months I should be completely back to normal.
When he returns, he'll be dealing with new laws. The legislature passed a bill allowing police to hold suspects for 8 hours instead of 6 when they're looking to get a judge to sign a detention order. Law enforcement will also have easier access to juvenile arrest records, and minors will now be required to be arraigned within 5 days of an arrest.
I feel as if the changes are very small, but it's going in the right direction.
Chris O'Donnell has been relentless in pushing for those changes, and that fight is not ending. Her goal is to contact every legislator before the election.
I want to see what they're going to do to keep the law enforcement in this state protected.
The O'Donnells feel that more can be done.
My job's never going to be perfect, whether or not the legislators decide to get together and do something bipartisan, or if nothing comes of anything. It's still the job I want to do.
Now, one thing I always take away from our meetings with Officer O'Donnell is his positive attitude. Even in the darkest of times, he was smiling, looking on the bright side of things, and kept looking ahead to getting back to normal. So it's going to be a special day when he achieves his goal and returns to full duty service. And we're going to be sure to be there when that happens. Live here in studio, Matthew Campbell, Channel 13 News.